on their typically well thought out responses and their incredibly intelligent debate of shouting racist at absolutely everything all the time. That's all they do is shout racist. I was asked by a journalist, a lady from Wales Online, just before, while I was standing over here. She asked me whether it was appropriate to be calling our MPs traitors. Now that's debate. We can debate the word traitor all day long. But here's two things. One, 3 years on from the largest democratic exercise this country has ever undertaken, it's still not implemented. Our members of parliament are conspiring and colluding to overturn the result of that. And all the press can say is, should we be calling them traitors? What do you call them? What do you call this? The press should care about the fact that 3 years later we still haven't left. That's what the press should be talking about, and not whether or not we call them traitors. The members of parliament have turned their back on this country. They have turned their back on us, and I suggest we punish them for it. We punish them in only one way, the only way they understand, and you know what way that is. And no, press, I'm not talking about anything other than taking their seats away from them. And they deserve every single thing they get. They deserve to lose their seats. They deserve to lose their seats in disgrace. They have turned their back on the voting public. I had another conversation yesterday in London. Someone was campaigning for a second referendum, and bless her, she had no idea what she was doing when she picked me randomly in the street to talk to about a second referendum. She told me very, very clearly, no shame about this by the way, told me very matter-of-factly that I didn't know what I was voting for when I voted to leave the European Union. You'll have heard this. You'll have heard this. People arrogantly telling us we didn't know what we were voting for. And I've had this conversation now several times, and I recommend that you go away and have the same conversation. The next time someone tells you you didn't know what you were voting for, ask them about the powers of the European Parliament. Ask them if they have any idea how much power the European Parliament actually has. They won't know. They don't know that it has zero power. It is there to give the EU a veneer of democracy, and all it does is rubber stamp the laws introduced to it by the unelected EU Commission. They won't know that. They don't understand that. They don't know who the Commission is. They don't know the fact that the Commission is not decided by us, and we can't remove them. They don't seem to know this. They don't know that the only legislative force in the EU is the unelected Commission, and no matter what laws they make, you and I have no ability to get rid of them. They don't know this. So my question is to Remainers, hey, you didn't know what you were voting for, obviously. You didn't know what you were voting for. What you're voting for, and what you are now trying so hard with this intimidation and this nonsense over here of Black Lives Matter. Who says they don't? What are you doing? What is this about? They don't know what the argument is. They have no idea what this is actually about. They're standing over there shouting fascist and Nazi, and they have no idea what this debate is about. It's about democracy. You may understand it one day. It's about democracy. They want, this is how they call us ignorant. They honestly think we don't know what we're talking about. These are people who actually want to be governed by those they can't remove. They want to live as slaves in a slave state. Now I have no microphone. Look, these people are those who are determined
Toot toot.
Start again. I've forgotten what I was saying now. I have actually forgotten what I was saying now. The people who want a second referendum and call it a people's vote, first of all, be more honest. Be more honest. We're not falling for this Orwellian nonsense. We had a people's vote. The people's vote was very clear. What you want is a loser's vote. What you want is a crybaby's vote. What you want is we will get our way no matter what, and anyone who opposes us, we'll call them a racist vote. That's who they are. That's all they've got. They don't get it. They don't get this debate. As Hugh said, governments don't hand power to people. Governments don't want us to have a say. We have to fight long and hard. And British people fought long and hard for centuries and centuries to have a say over who governs this country. Now, on behalf of the state, on behalf of the status quo, and this is what's so funny about it, they really think they're edgy and they're rebellious. They are the foot soldiers of the status quo. They are out here acting on behalf of the state in order to shut down democracy, civil rights and opposition to our rulers. That's who they are, and they don't even know it. They don't know it. They tell us we don't know what we voted for, and they are slaves of the state. They think they are out here making change in the world. Their fancy flags and all their trendy slogans, all they are doing is upholding the status quo on behalf of the powerful. They also think that they are standing for working people. They think that they're socialists. They think that they stand for working class people. In the 1970s, in the early 1970s, this country went through the whole EU debate as well. And then, of course, it was the EEC. And there was a debate about whether or not to stay in or leave the EEC. At the time, the left of the Labour Party wanted to leave. And they wanted to leave, across vast swathes of the left, wanted to leave because they knew what open border immigration would do to working class communities here. That's all completely gone. Now it's the left are trampling on the working class. They are trampling on the rights of the ordinary person to a say in their country. They are reducing the people in the poorest parts of this country who voted to leave, who have seen their jobs market destroyed, saturated, their jobs, their conditions and their wages fall because of mass immigration from the EU. They are trampling on the poorest people in this country, and they think that they are moral. They think they are intelligent. What they are is brutes doing the state's work for them in silencing the poorest people in the country. That's who they are. And all they have in reply is, guess what? You're a racist. That's it. We can talk about economics, we can talk about jobs, we can talk about constitution, and all they will say is, you're a racist. By the way, I had a leaflet was put out about me in this city just last week, and I'm assuming it's our friends over here who they once again called me a Nazi and a fascist and a racist. And like last week or 2 weeks ago, I was in Darlington and I got the same old stuff. And I asked one person who called me a fascist if they know what fascism is. They didn't know what fascism was, but still felt completely qualified to call me a fascist. Same over here. It's the same thing. They have no idea. They have no idea what they stand for. They have no idea of the power of the words they throw around. They have no idea of the complexity of the debate surrounding this. And they have no idea, most of all, what it is they are throwing away. They are throwing away their own say in their own society. And unforgivably, they are throwing away the say of generation after generation to come. They are making sure that British people in the future will be trampled on by the state and have no comeback. Congratulations, you fools! You have no idea what you are doing. But luckily,